Fate decided.
Let's get this party started.
Craving something scary.
Hello, Sydney. It's an honor.
Killjoy Jake.
Don't you swear at me, you little shit! Don't you ever raise your voice at me! I am your mother!
Nightwatch Zone.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was.
Green Gaze said something that I actually kind of wanted to ask. He said it's going to be the worst movie ever, but Halloween Ends, which I don't think that. But
Oh, come on.
I want real quick, without going into an hour of Halloween talk.
Why not? No, I'm kidding.
Is what early predictions? Let's just keep it simple. Scale 1 to 10. Where do you think it follows? 1 being the worst, 10 being the greatest. Where do you think this movie goes as far as like Halloween films? Do you think it's going to be, a better one of the better Halloween films, or do you think that most likely it'll be underwhelming?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead, Knight.
Yeah.
Well,
He's literally itching.
I will say this. Because Green Gaze was saying it's going to be the worst film ever made. I can guarantee you that it will not be.
Yeah,
Because
can promise you
I've seen some bad films.
Yes.
But I will say this. And again, I know I've said this before, but it's so true. Steven, you know this. I've gone through the whole franchise. When we're talking about the Halloween franchise, it's been some wacky moments in that franchise. So I can guarantee you this. It will not be the worst film in the Halloween franchise. I'm going to guarantee it right now, right here. There is no way this film is going to be worse than Resurrection.
No.
Or The Curse. And I know Rob
Or
Zombie
Halloween
movies.
Kills.
Stop.
No, stop.
Fate, I want you to rank the Halloween movies, and I guarantee you Kills will not be at the bottom. But
I
anyways,
guarantee it.
It'll be third from the bottom.
But all seriousness though, I think I have a feeling this movie will be on par with the other two. If I was to give it a number, like you said, 1 through 10, I'd be cautious and say at least a 7. I want to be cautious because we know a lot of times trilogies do have a hard time sticking the landing. A lot of that is because of fan bias, and I'm going to admit I do that quite often.
Yeah.
So I think it's always a challenge to stick the landing because that's the last thing in this story arc. But I think it's going to be on par with the first two. I really do, and I would say it's going to get at least a 7. And a 7 for me is saying that the movie is pretty good. I'm not saying that it's great or fantastic, but I think it's going to at least have a 7 for me.
Graven.
Yeah, not to copy you, man, but I think I'm on par or in agreement with you, rather, with what you're saying, because I liked the first 2 movies, and I think that this, for me, it's going to come down. Honestly, I'm not worried about cinematography. I'm not worried about acting. I'm not worried about pace. All that stuff I know is done. It's sold. It's rock solid. The thing that's going to swing me from being like a 7 to a 5 is going to be the ending. It's going to be the ending of this movie. How the direction they take will determine whether I rank this about right in the middle of the pack, or if it's going to get better than that, which is better than average, to a good status of 7 with you. So I think it could be a 7. I hope it will be. That's my hope.
What type of ending? Just briefly, like I said, this would actually be a good conversation with Jake. But
it would be
briefly.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we could do on our next one. But just briefly, what would make it go from like a 7 or 8 to like a 4 or 5 for you ending wise? If they kill Laurie, if they like I said, without.
Yeah,
because we can talk about this for hours. But
yeah, really, and it's good to think about, right? Like you should give it some thought.
Yeah.
So off the cuff, and I may change my criteria after I really think about it.
Yeah.
But right now, on the spot thinking, I would say, yeah, it's how they handle Laurie and Michael, and this whole radio tower, man. I'm telling you, this radio tower could be really done well, or it could be really bad, and
right.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous, guys, about the radio tower. That alone could swing me down to a 5. If they do that wrong, and it's hokey, and it's just no, this is not well done. It's not written well and executed well. Then that alone would do it. But also the Michael's in death. Is he going to die? How's he going to die? Is Laurie going to die? Which I think she is. I'm preparing myself like I did for Dewey.
Yeah.
And I always did a hashtag no more Deweys. And, and I think we're going to get it. We're going to get a Dewey in January. And we're going to get Laurie in October. And so I'm preparing myself for it, but I don't want to see climbing up and falling off of towers, of radio towers. It's just how they do it, man. Now, maybe it's something where if the tower is transmitting something, I'm just saying, if that's what it is, then maybe it makes sense that Laurie's climbing up the tower to knock off the transponder at top because he's going to kill Allison. And if she doesn't stop the signal, he's going to kill. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of stuff. You could make it work. But I guess fate for me. It's more in that. It's more in, and also don't kill Lindsay off in the first 20, 30 minutes. Let her be around. That's the other thing that would factor my score. So without giving a deeper thought, that's my answer for now.
Yeah. Okay. Knight, what do you think? What ending would bring it down from you? I think a 7 to 4.
Well, I think it's all about, and I'm going to be echoing Steven. I think it's just how they do it, because we know it's going to be one of a couple of options. Either Michael dies or Laurie dies and Michael lives, or they both die or whatever. If it's executed the right way, then I can still stay at a 7. If they killed Laurie like they killed Sally, that's going down to a 4. I do not. I'm gonna say this again. I'm going out on a limb, but I do not seeing them disrespect Laurie Strode and Jamie Lee Curtis like that. If nothing else, I think they're going to at least show respect to Laurie Strode. I think they've shown that they do give a damn about this mythology, about the franchise and these characters. But you never know until you see stuff. So they'd really have to do some careless character things at the end for it to take me down to a lower score. I'm not really invested either way as far as who's dying and living, because I'm kind of prepared for any of it as long as it's done correctly, And I'm hopeful that it will be. I'm hopeful that it will be.
Execution is everything.
It is. We say that all the time on on our channels, man.
We got to get a T-shirt. We got a T-shirt for it.
We should. Execution is everything. That's a great shirt to have.
It is. It's one of my favorites. It's one of my favorite phrases. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like the phrase of Scream 5 for me, like execution. But I'm curious to see what the end result will be. Like I said, I enjoyed 18. I didn't really like kills. I think that Ends has a lot of potential to go either way. I think it has a lot of potential to be the best of the 3, or could even be the worst of the 3.
It could be the worst of the 3.
It could.
I'll give you some examples right now. Return of the Jedi, to me easily was the least of the original Star Wars movies. The Godfather 3 Part 3. It definitely could be. It's hard to stick that landing. Green Gay saying Halloween is a tired franchise. Not according to the box office.
No, I don't think so.
Not according to the box office.
It's okay if you're tired of it. I mean, that's fine.
True.
But no, I don't think the general horror public is tired of it.
Well, I think go ahead.
That's actually a good. Okay. To kind of add to his thing, because I think it's just the way that he phrased it. Is it more that is the success more the curiosity or the actual fandom of the character at this point? Because with so many films and so on and so forth, you got to imagine that part of that is just the curiosity of what are they going to do, rather than like, I am a diehard fan. I'd really like to know the difference and see that comparison.
You mean for Halloween? You think that it's more curiosity than Die Hard fandom?
Yes, and not entirely, Obviously, I mean, there's people like most of us that see the movie for that. But like, great example, like I just did not like Halloween Kills at all.
Yeah,
Really? No. Really?
You can't just disappear and pop back in and interrupt me.
You forgot? You didn't like it?
Let me say this though. I think what's funny about the franchise, and me and Steven, we talked about this on your channel, is this is a legacy franchise.
Yep.
And it comes back with 2018 after very divisive sequels.
Yeah.
True.
You had, and again, the Rob Zombie stuff, that's another story for another day, but especially with his second movie, there are a lot of people that were just like, what the hell's going on? And so the franchise was kind of, to the side, and so when you come out with 2018 and it was actually good, I mean, most people thought it was at least decent.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of revived it as a franchise. So, I think that it does have a pretty strong fandom. I don't think it's, the same as like Scream, but I think it has a pretty good fandom, and it's a legacy franchise for that time of the year, for that season.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like a great example where like the Paranormal Activities, like every year it's Saw movies every year at the same time, almost the same date. You got one of those movies, and most of them were terrible, but you still went and it was almost like a tradition. And I feel like Halloween at this point might be that way a lot. And here's the thing: that doesn't mean that you don't enjoy those movies, like, because there are later Saw films that I enjoyed, or Paranormal Activity movies I enjoyed, stuff like that. But I think initially, like when 18 was announced, I don't think it was so much the diehard fandom, like we need to go see this movie, and it did, 300 million at the box office, and I think it was a lot of that was intrigue. And I think that's kind of the case. And I've said that too. I've said that too, even about Scream. Like I made a video talking about it in one of my live streams where I said we're gonna get a trilogy for this Scream film because they made Scream 6. Even if Scream 6 is terrible, they'll probably still make a Scream 7 because Scream 6 is gonna do well in the box office. But Scream 7, even if 6 is terrible, you're gonna have the curiosity of how is the story going to end.
Well, they're going to want to see Stu Macher be revealed finally in 7 to finish the trilogy, so they will be back.
And then Craven woke up, but
and then Fate went to there we go, baby.
No, it wasn't somebody in the chat.
The Stu train, let's go.
But,
come on, guys.
But but like great examples, like I said, like with the Halloween Ends, I did not like Halloween Kills. But my curiosity, I'm going to go watch Halloween Ends because I want to see how they're going to conclude this story. I liked 18. I didn't like Kills, but I'm curious to see how Halloween Ends is going to see. Now, am I going to go rush to the box office? No. But most people don't. Usually the people that are rushing to the box office are people that either just die hard for movies, period, or they're die hard for the fans. I went and saw Scream as soon as it was available in theaters, because I'm diehard for the franchise. I'm a diehard fan, and that's kind of how I feel about it. But I don't know. I think part of it has to do with the curiosity factor at this point. Like with Rob Zombie, like a lot of that I think was curious. Like, how is Rob Zombie going to go about this movie, about this franchise? And then you get David Gordon Green and what's his name? Why am I blanking on
Danny McBride?
Danny McBride. There we go.
Yeah.
Right there. Those are two people that immediately added.
Jack.
So Jack,
what's going on, Jack?
Jack's got his Stu train ticket. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, it's gonna crash, Jack. It's unfortunate.
No, it's insured. Insured. We're good.
That doesn't mean you're all gonna die.
Progressive insurance.
No, that's insured.
I'll make sure to call insurance when you guys are all on the side of the ditch.
No refunds, brother.
But yeah, you made me lose my train of thought.
It worked, Knight. It worked.
My point was I think that there is a level of intrigue, and I think that plays into this. I think that plays into this as a whole.
Yeah.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
was so bad the ending was insulting.
Dang, that was.
I get it, Green Gaze. It was terrible. It was trash.
No,
I'm with you.
I wasn't a big
It was
fan of the
totally-
whole, like the whole Karen window scene. I was not a big fan of that scene. I've been open
Right.
about that, but that was a fantastic movie. I'm sorry, I don't care if anybody says that. I
Again,
love that
guys,
movie.
It's
I
a
loved
horror
it.
movie. A
I mean, come
slasher
on.
horror movie from a 50-year-old franchise. I mean,
Yeah.
come on, guys.
Yeah,
And
The fact
it,
that-
it
you
aged
know-
like milk.
it's even being made.
Stop. You know what, Faye?
Fate.
Seriously though, I mean, look, and this will be the last thing I say about it because we always get on these tangents. But seriously, when you talk about a 12th movie in a 50-year-old franchise, come on, man, you got to admit come on, they did some decent things.
Yep.
I said that there were moments in Halloween Kills, but overall the movie sucked. Like there were like you could find a turd and shit sometimes,
All
a diamond and shit sometimes, but
dang.
it just
yeah.
it depends on what the dog ate.
I mean, I guess, Fate, you haven't seen Busta Rhymes in a while. You haven't watched. Maybe you need to watch Halloween Resurrection. Watch zombies movies.
Just because
and
one
then come
movie's
back
bad,
and
just
watch
because
it.
one movie's bad doesn't mean another one can't be. Like you can't.
Well, no, I'm just saying it gives
But
you
this
perspective.
is much better than those.
I've never once said it was Resurrection. I have never said that.
No, I know that.
I've given it credit. It just wasn't
A little.
like, as far as the franchise. It's not up there as some of the better franchise movies in the franchise. I think that I put H2O ahead of this. I
liked H2O.
Yeah,
I
I
liked
put
H2O
H2O
as well.
ahead of Kills. I
But-
put 18 ahead of Kills. I
But
put 4 ahead of Kills. I put the original ahead of Kills. I'd
Yes.
even put. So you're talking Halloween Kills is like 6th or 7th in the franchise.
But that doesn't
I
make
don't-
it bad, even if it was.
right, even
But
if it was.
it
That's
wasn't
halfway. That's the middle of the pack.
But it was still a bad. Yes, but that's not.
I mean, for you, it's middle of the pack. I'm not saying that. I think it's one
Yeah,
of the top
me
4
neither.
sequels.
You just
I liked them, and
agreed. You
it
just
wasn't
agreed
number
with
6
me
for
that
me.
it's number that you would put all
no,
the same ones ahead.
no. I said if you were, but I said if you're
but
saying
I'm
it.
saying Knight just said I agree with you on all those.
Well, I agree
And
with
then
you with
just
the
said-
original. No, I
See,
agree with you with the
guys can't even
original.
keep track of your own arguments.
Listen,
No,
I said
no.
I agree with you with the original and 4. I don't agree with H2O because to me H2O, even though I enjoyed it, I think H2O had a lot of Scream tendencies, which isn't in the
It did.
same, which is a different mythology, and so I had an issue with that. Michael didn't even really kill a lot in that movie. I love Jamie Lee Curtis in it,
Yes,
but
she was
there
great.
I had issues with H2O, especially watching it now. When I was a kid, yeah, I loved it because it was a Halloween movie and I was able to watch an R-rated movie and all that type of stuff. But I think for me, I can't remember exactly. I did a video on it, but I think I had Kills like in 4th in the franchise.
That seems more like where I would rank it.
Yeah.
It's
I
the
did-
top 5.
Yeah, I didn't put it above 2018. I know that because I think 2018 is a better movie, overall. But Kills definitely wasn't like 6th or higher or lower for me. So
Yeah. Well, do you know that on H2O, I have to mention this real quick. You know, how you said it has a Scream feel to it.
Kevin,
And Kevin Williamson came in to do the writing on that movie,
Right.
And so that's something that I hardly hear anyone talking about.
and the musical.
I
score.
did
And
on
the
my
music was
video.
Well, no, you do, Knight, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, the music, Fate. You're right, Marco Beltrami. They pulled his music in. Some of the same scores
Yes.
from Scream.
Exactly.
The
Yes.
same exact scores are in Halloween H2O.
That iconic scene when Michael is chasing oh god, what's her name from that TV show? The blonde and
Oh yes, I know what you're talking
Josh
about.
Hartnett.
Josh Hart.
And
Yeah.
he gets to the gate right before he comes up to the door and faces Laurie through the
Yes.
through the thing, which was iconic. That music was from Scream.
It
Not only
was.
that, but when Michael couldn't get through the gate, you know what Michael Myers was doing to those kids? He was doing the slash thing. I'm like, that's Ghostface's move. So
That's right. That's right.
Right?
Yes. It's
Everyone
so
here,
true.
you got to check out my H2O video
Yes.
because we went deep into that. But all that being said, I still enjoyed H2O.
Oh, I
for
did
what it
too.
was. But I didn't rank it higher than Kills. So
I would not rank it higher than Kills either. No, I agree.
mic drop.
I mean,
Yeah.
we can all have bad decisions.
Stop it! I love. I saw his mind working about his
I
comeback.
know.
He's like, we can all have bad choices.
Oh dang!
Not everyone has a perfect list all the time.
I love you, man. And H2O, Green Gaze is right. H2O had a CGI mask too. That was ridiculous.
That I don't understand why.
I don't understand why they did it.
It's not
They were lazy.
necessary. Yeah, I mean,
They were lazy.
it was the Weinsteins again. Remember, it's the
Yes.
Weinsteins. So
Yeah. Well, they couldn't get the mask to look the way they wanted it to, and they cut the eye holes too big and this and that. It's
Yeah.
like, good God,
Yeah.
people. Is it that difficult to make a good mask? At least Rob
Seriously.
Zombie got a decent mask.
He did.
yeah, he did.
And these two movies, and obviously Ends, you're going to have a
Yeah.
good mask. And
Yep.
again, attention to details. Do you really give a damn about what you're doing? And I think
Mm-hmm. Right.
that these movies are at least showing that they actually, and even David Gordon Green said he was painstakingly trying to make sure every shot of Michael Myers was in the right lighting to make the mask look right, because it's very hard to make it look
Yes.
right. So again,
Yep.
versus Halloween 5, when the director hadn't even seen a Halloween movie and he was just winging it and almost killed what's her name, the girl that played Tina, almost killed
Yeah,
her
almost killed
because his
Wow.
directing skills were not up to par. I mean, I'm just saying,
Terrible.
guys, this is where the franchise has been. So don't forget the past is all I'm saying.
Gina!
Last question, and we'll wrap it up. Last question, we'll wrap it up.
For God's sake, stop her!
Where do you guys rank? Where do you guys put? Or I guess not even rank. Like, what are your overall thoughts on Rob Zombie's Halloween? Like, I don't
I'm
think
sorry.
that's something that you guys have ever really talked about.
The
Hold
first,
on. This comment, bro. We got to stop for a second. Come on now. You're saying Texas Chainsaw Massacre is better than Scream 5? Is that what that's saying?
maybe.
Whoa. Okay.
I didn't even read it when I put it up there.
Okay.
Well, we are
That-
talking about Halloween. Maybe he's talking about Halloween.
Maybe it's about Halloween. Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe.
maybe.
It's
Which
gotta
either way,
be,
you're
right?
wrong. But you know,
Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But
sorry.
Anyway,
Go ahead.
what are your thoughts on the Rob Zombie Halloween? Like, are you fans of them? Are you not? Because people either are really divided on that. There's people that absolutely think that they were some of the best in the entire franchise, and then there's the other side that are like they're the worst movies in the franchise. So where do you guys lie?
I'll let you go first, Steven.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna be on the latter side. I think they're trash. I don't like them. I think the whole showing Michael growing up with the trash parents, mom, that whole thing is just it's Rob Zombie. It's what he does. We know that. I didn't like that. I'm like, seeing Michael grow up, seeing the whole thing where he's killing the animals, the whole typical serial killer kind of thing. I was like, that's just ruining the whole mythology of this guy. I don't want to see all of this. I want the boogeyman to be the boogeyman. I want the mystery to be there. And so I didn't like that. I didn't like the vile, just the crude nature of Halloween of his movies, which he does. Again, that's how he does things. But I'm like, just with all of the crudeness to be crude and for shock factor, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I was not a fan of either one of those movies. I'll never watch them again. And I think The Mask was the only thing that I liked out of those two movies. So I'm going to be probably far on the wall on this other side because I'm not really even in the middle. I didn't like them at all. I can't stand those movies. I'll never watch them again. I thought they were unnecessary, and I thought they took the mythology of this amazing character and it didn't ruin it for me, but it tarnished it for me. I didn't like it. So
What
that's
about you,
it,
Fate?
man.
What about you?
What about
Nick?
you, Fate? Well,
Me?
Yeah, you. I'll let you go first. I don't want to get too long-winded about it.
It had elements that were okay. Overall, I don't think that they were great. I mean, I think that there are far worse films in the franchise than the Rob Zombie ones. Like, I wouldn't rank it at the very bottom, but I wouldn't rank it near the top either. I think that they weren't. I wouldn't even say good. They were one of those movies you watch once and you go, okay, that was cool. Like,
One and done.
like, yeah, you watch it, you don't hate it, you don't love it. Yeah, you kind of just are like, I don't regret that I watched it, but it's not something that like I'm watching again. Like, that's kind of how I felt about it. Which is kind of how I felt about Halloween Kills. I mean, I don't mean that as like a jab. I do. Like, I'm glad I watched Halloween Kills, but like, it's not a movie that like I'm dying to see again. I probably will watch it again just because we talk about it so much and stuff. So it might be good to kind of refresh on it, see if maybe my opinion changes. But I mean, I've seen it twice, so I don't think it's going to change. But yeah, that's just kind of where I feel. I don't think it's great, but I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's one of the worst. I don't think it's the worst in the franchise. But you could put it there. The first one, I didn't really like the backstory either. But I thought Rob Zombie's first one was better than the second overall. And I thought the first film was one of the better films in the franchise.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, what I was going to say is I'm of two minds on it. First of all, I think that his take on it, he wanted to do something different than John Carpenter. So
yeah, and I respect that.
Right, I get that, and of course, you're not going to outdo John Carpenter. So I understand why he went in a different direction. But I don't like the mythology I like in John Carpenter's version better, no doubt, 100%. Okay, but for what Rob Zombie did, trying to do something totally different, yeah, there were some interesting things in it as a horror movie, as a slasher film, not necessarily as a Michael Myers, The Shape, The Boogeyman film, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's not a movie that I revisit quite often. The last time I watched it was when I did a review on it, and before that it was quite a few years.
It's almost the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it has its moments just as a horror film, as a slasher film. Yes, it has some nice moments in it that you could enjoy as a horror fan. But part two totally went down the tubes, and as far as going way too far off the rails. And again, we talked about it. He went full Rob Zombie with his Halloween 2. Yep. He opened the gates. I mean, I'm talking about just the vulgarness, the crudeness, and it's like, to me, that doesn't match up well with the Halloween franchise. You know what I'm saying? The Halloween franchise, to me, the mythology, they don't mix with what he was trying to do. Again, I understand he was trying to do something different, and that's, it is what it is. But for me, they weren't great Halloween movies, although, like you said, Fate, they're not, for me anyways, in my ranking, the ranking I did, they weren't the worst in the, well, I don't want to give it away. One of them was, but one of them wasn't. They were all, both of them were down on the list, but one was the worst and one wasn't, but was still pretty far down there. They were well-made movies, but they weren't good Halloween movies.
You even put Resurrection above number 2?
No, I don't think I did. I can't remember. I'd have to look at because that was difficult.
Is Resurrection the worst movie in the franchise?
So I will say, generally speaking, I say it is, and
yeah, I think I did put it there.
It's hard to not make it the worst. I mean, I'm tempted to go Zombie 2 as the worst, then Resurrection, but it's so hard for me to say that because I can't stand either one of those movies. And I think, but I don't know I mean, from the mythology perspective, at least with Resurrection, that was kind of intact from the previous movies, whereas Zombie, we just, like you mentioned, he just broke it, went a whole other way. So that's the one thing that may push me to move 2 to my last ranking and move Resurrection up one spot. I will put Zombie 1 over Resurrection.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
I will too. Yeah, I will too. Because it's just, again, it's not a great mix with the mythology, but for what he was doing, it was a well-made movie. You explained way too much, just like they did in Curse of Michael Myers. Again, anytime you try to over-explain these villains, these icons, you're heading down a dark path.
Yeah, you're already.
You should never try to You should never try to explain them, and you definitely shouldn't over-explain them. So.
Yes, which is why I hope with Halloween Ends, where here we are again, where we've come to the edge of the cliff. And are we going to fall over or are we going to hold on? And that's where we're at with this last movie, because David Gordon Green's either going to shove us off the cliff, or he's going to hold on to us and keep us safe and have a good ending. So
an MTV movie.
We shall see.
Green Gaze is a fan of Curse of Michael Myers. It was so good.
Oh.
There's a lot of people that love the Thorn trilogy.
I mean, it was interesting to me. I mean, I will say that.
Yeah,
I
it
just
was
didn't-
interesting.
It was interesting. I just didn't. I just don't like control. When you explain how it's kind of like having a wild. I mentioned on my live stream about Scream. With we have a wild lion. And you're trying to tame it. It's gonna get. You can't really effectively do that for real. You might do it for a little bit, and that's what happened. I mean, Michael went ballistic and cursed.
Yep.
Remember at the end, he kills everybody, and then poor Dr. Loomis, bless his heart, he looks down on his wrist. He's got the dadgum thorn on his arm. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
and that horrible scream. He ends the movie with that scream in the back. It's terrible, man.
And he passed away shortly thereafter
Shortly
filming
after.
that scene. Yeah.
He did. It was
Rest in peace to Donald Pleasance.
Donald Pleasant.
Yeah, man, for real. Maybe that's another reason why I didn't like that movie now, because it's kind of associated with his death and his whole, like his last performance. All that's kind of tied into that package for me for 6.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed.
Tina, come on, Knight. She's a 9-year-old girl. Tina,
Yes.
for God's sake, stop her. Come on, man. You can say it better than me. Can you hit me?
Can't do it.
Can you do it? Come on, Knight. Give it to us just once.
Go home. Go home, Michael.
Yes.
She'll be there waiting for you.
Yes. Yes. I love it.
I love it, man.